I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we get into even approving the agenda, I thought we would kind of go over some rules so that we can operate, I hope, as smoothly as possible. It's kind of hard on a Telcon, but for each item as we go through it, like if we do a motion and we get a second, I'll ask Katie to do a roll call so that each person gives their vote. And then when we get to items in the agenda for discussion, I'll open it for discussion, and then Katie go through the roll call again so each person has an opportunity to speak. And sure. then when everyone speaks, if somebody else wants to speak again, they can raise their hand, just raise your hand to get attention, and then Katie would call that person. Otherwise, I think it's going to get too complicated. We'll talk over each other and we won't be able to hear what's going on at all. Is that okay with everyone? Sound good?
Another thing that I'm going to be doing is I think I have everybody, maybe to start we should do a roll call so that I make sure I have everybody labeled correctly. I'm going to mute everybody that is not a counselor until the public comment period. I will unmute so that if anybody wants to address the council, they are able to, and then I will mute again, starting with the departmental reports and continue on for the rest of the meeting. There are no other public portions of the meeting. And so that'll get rid of some of the background noise also.
Okay. So did you want to do a roll call now or?
Sure. Yep. So Mayor Shaw.
Yes.
Councillor Lauer.
Here.
Councillor Jutman.
Here.
Councillor Tuso.
Here.
Councillor Sarvala.
Here.
I think that's all of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. And then is Mike on the call? Okay, that's fine.
All right, the next item is approval of agenda. And I do have an addition change to make. After the public comment, I would like Katie to give a city department operations review. So after number 3 and before number 4, Katie, just kind of go through all the departments, their operation, who's working, who isn't. And then I'll speak a little bit about what the governor has brought out today. There's a change in the stay-at-home initiative and back to work type stuff. And then we'll go into the department reports. Does anyone else have any changes or additions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye, and I'll have Katie do the roll call.
Doug?
Aye.
Walt?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Ted?
Yes. All right. Motion carried. Moving on to the consent agenda. We have 2A, the minutes for March 11th, 2020 City Council regular meeting minutes. Do I have any discussion or questions on the minutes? If anyone has anything, raise your hand, or Greg, you'll have to speak up. Seeing none, do we have, well, I'll tell you what, I'll go through the financial reports too, then we'll just do one motion. On following on to 2B, the financial reports. Number 1, we have the city accounts payable for March 2020. Number 2 is the city financial statements for March 2020. And number 3, the liquor store profit loss statement, February and March 2020. Any discussion or questions on the financial reports? Doug? Go ahead.
I would just ask if it's possible. Thank you, Katie. I'd just ask if it's possible, since we're looking at year-to-date March, is there a way to get one more column in there and compare 2019's March and then April next month, or things of that nature? Is it too,
Are you
not enough
talking
room?
number 3?
I'm talking about the liquor store number 3 year-to-date. We made $4,018 in March. I'm just wondering if we could compare month to month or see where we're at historically.
Yep, I can do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda? And Katie, do the roll call.
I need a motion first.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Walt,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and Ted.
Aye. Motion carried. I suppose I should ask, any no's, say no, please. Hearing none. Moving on to public comment. This time is reserved for comments from the public on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep comments to 3 minutes.
I unmuted everybody, so.
Moving on. Then that, Katie, that would, if you would please give us kind of a rundown on the city department operations and who's working and the status right now.
Sure. I think it'd probably be shorter to tell you who is working. Public Works crew, they're staying home unless there's a water break, sewer backup, that kind of thing. Phil's coming in every day to check on things and do maintenance type things, but there are no like extra projects going on right now. Ted, I don't know if you want to talk about this later on, but Governor Walz, I didn't get a chance to watch it. Governor Walz extended the stay-at-home order. He did mention something from what I'm hearing from Ted. He kind of gave me the lowdown. There was a stipulation in there that if you have the ability to stay within the social distance, 6 feet, he is encouraged to go to work. However, if that's not a possibility, such as places like the DMV, the library, places that are kind of confined spaces that you can't or go beyond, stay within that 6 feet, then he recommends that those places stay closed. So I believe as long as it's okay with you guys, I kind of talked to Phil about it, to see how he felt, but I think the public guys are going to come back to work starting on Monday, after this current stay-at-home order expires. So that's what's going on with Public Works. DMV is still closed. The senior dining area is still closed to the public. They're still doing takeout meals. The library is closed. The arena staff is not there. Our recycle shed is closed. Police department is still fully staffed. Who am I forgetting? I'm still here.
Yeah, I think you hit it all. Just a little bit on what the governor went over today. As Katie said, the stay-at-home initiative is being pushed out to May 4th. And that means any public gathering places would have to stay closed business-wise, like unfortunately, Walter, like your business and restaurants and what would you call it, the athletic type places where, you know, a lot of people gather together. All that has to stay closed, like the library, the DMV. We can do off sale, but not on sale. So all those gathering places, public gathering, they would have to stay closed. Any businesses that, well, like the ones that are open, they will stay open. The ones that are called critical. He did talk about the back to work, I don't call it initiative, but just people getting back to work. And since Minnesota, the curve on Minnesota is the lowest curve of all the states. Our state was able to keep the lowest number of new incidents of you know, COVID-19. So like maintenance people that can keep their distance, the social distancing that has been required. He's going to sign that document today that kind of loosening that type of thing. Like, Phil, as long as you guys can social distance, I know there's sometimes you have to work because of safety. You got to have 2 people on the job, but pretty much in general, they can go back to work. I'm guessing Joe at the park with his 2 maintenance guys, they can start cleaning the park now that the snow has melted. As far as the rest, it sounds like that we would have to keep the status quo. I know, Katie, some of the libraries in the region are doing different things like allowing pickup, but I don't know, since we've been closed, I just can't see why change it till May 4th now.
Yeah, I think if you changed it, it would confuse people. But I mean, whatever. If you guys want to open it, we certainly can. We can try it.
Yeah, I just don't see it at this time unless they have work they can do themselves. You know, like, you know, the head librarian, the director come in and do some work, catch up stuff, or her and 1 other employee, as long as they, you know, not interacting with the public, but doing stuff inside, you know, that could be done. There's something that we should talk about in this part, and that is the parks. There's no problem with the guys working and cleaning up the place, but it kind of, the way that they brought things out, I don't see us opening up even the what would you call it, the year round or the summer round people coming in and parking, and push it back to May 15th.
The seasonal people.
Go ahead, Katie.
The seasonal people.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually have that as an agenda item under.
Okay. Okay. Well, we kind of started it now. I might as well finish it. So with the seasonal people, instead of May 1st, push it back to May 15th, and then we'll have another city council meeting before then, and we may have more direction from the governor by then, after the May 4th deadline is reached. I did talk to Joe about that, and he didn't see any problems. He'll just have to notify anybody that's scheduled early. He does have the 2 workers, though, that come down, and they have trailers, but if there's just 2 of them in there and they're working, I don't see any problem with that part. just not let any seasonals come in until the 15th. And because they'll have to start the mowing and the painting and all the brush cleanup, all the branches that have fallen down. And I'll probably go for the cemeteries also. The work could start once the snow is out. Unfortunately, Phil, more work to do. It kind of all comes together. But so with that, I'll open that up for any discussion, any ideas from anybody or statements.
Can I just see if you guys can hear me?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yes, Doug.
I guess I would like to, I don't know if I would like it to be a steadfast date. A lot of people, and maybe I'm wrong, but in this area, a lot of people, if they can go out opening fishing, this would be the opportunity. If that order was lifted, if the governor comes on May 1st and says, after May 4th, I'm going to lift it, I'd like to see people to be able to utilize those things. Plus, those people are paying for money for a seasonal rental. I don't know how that's going to affect it. Ted, maybe you do, or Katie, maybe you do, but I get just food for thought. I know it's not a long time, but that's just a discussion point, I guess.
Yeah, I think the problem on some of them are they're coming long distance. So if they know there's a date, they can be there, like it may take them 3 days to travel to get here. I thought if we had a firm date, then they would know, okay, we can leave at this time and get there. I see what you're saying though, Doug. Yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. That's why I guess to get you guys' input.
Ted,
Sure. Yes, Walt.
do we know when opening fishing is? I guess I don't know when the opener is on fishing.
Hey Phil, when's opening fishing?
I just looked and my calendar doesn't say.
I guess I had heard that Governor Walz, didn't he push back fishing opener? I guess I had heard that, but maybe that's one of those.
I heard that also, Katie. I thought he canceled his fishing trip.
His
Right.
His
But I don't know if he canceled the actual opening date. Probably not. Yes, sir, Walt.
From what I heard last is that he canceled his fishing trip, but fishing was still being allowed. That was a couple days ago that I heard that. I just don't know the date.
Chris.
Isn't it generally Mother's Day weekend, which should be like the 12th or whatever that is?
I believe you're right.
But I heard the same thing as Walt did, is he canceled his trip, but opening fishing would remain.
Well, how about we do this? Why don't you let Katie and I talk with Joe, and if there's anyone planned to come in already, to me, they'd already have their reservations, and if they don't, we don't have a problem. And if there's just a couple where they can keep distanced, then that's fine. One of the problem is that before then, the public bathrooms won't be open. There will be the porta potties, of course, but there wouldn't be the showers and stuff available until it's actually officially opened.
I just looked it up. It's actually May 7th.
Okay.
Is opening fishing. And I guess, I don't know. I know it's not really my call, but Governor Walz extends the stay-at-home order further. I think the point of the stay-at-home order is for people to stay at home and not go camping. As much as I love camping, I guess I just don't know. I just don't know what the next month looks like.
Yes, Chris.
I agree with Katie. I don't think we should be opening the campground at all until at least the end of May. It's still gonna, even if he lifted it on the 4th, that's really still too soon after to start gathering people. I think that he's probably gonna extend it again, and I think we should be looking towards the end of May, unfortunately.
And I will say what I can do is take the people who have paid and who still owe money. I will take whatever they paid, divide it out so I can get a by month amount and then reimburse them a month of their seasonal site. I don't know. I feel like that's fair. They're missing out on a month of something.
I understand. I understand what everyone's saying. I'm going to recommend we do it for the 15th. We will have another city council meeting before then, and if we extend it, we extend it. I'd like to go, to me, month by month. That's just my opinion. So, yes, I think Chris had her hand up first, Walt, and then I'll have you talk. Thank you.
Well, I guess, I'm looking at all the things that people are saying about advising people not to go up to their cabins, don't come up north. And I think that that's just saying that we're giving them the okay that they can come to our small town. And I would support the end of May.
Walt?
I just wanted to point out, I'm open for discussion on when to open it, but the small businesses are obviously going to be depending on the campground. So the soonest we can open it up, it will be important to them. I do worry that if we keep it closed down too long, that the people that are planning to come here, if it's closed down too long, that they will start looking for another campground. If there's other campgrounds that are going to be open in the area, they may pull out and go to one of those. But I do like the ability to be able to look at it again at the next meeting so we can see what the future brings us here, if there's any more information from the governor or if anything else comes up. But as far as the day right now, I'm open for discussion on that. Obviously, that's what we're doing now, but if it could be done safely by May 15th, I would be open for that too.
I think the only one we haven't heard from is Greg. Do you have any input, Greg?
I guess that my thoughts are that I think the governor is going to decide for us. We can put any date we want, but I think the way things are going, I don't think it's going to be lifted until June.
Somebody's got a real hot mic. Well, it sounds like we have quite a difference. Maybe we should do this by motion and vote, and that way we'll know where we're at. Does anyone have a motion? I think that's Greg that is. Are you trying to speak, Greg? I think we lost you.
No, I'm still here. I think the way we look as far as the discussion, I think, is that we're probably safe, or we can say the 15th as long as Joe lets people know that it may not be for sure.
Okay. Well, I think to get a firm date on it, whether it's the end of May or the 15th, I think we should do a motion and a vote. So I'm open for a motion. Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we open it the 15th with the understanding that if Governor Walz obviously changes the opening or something comes up that we're unable to open on the 15th, that the campers, the seasonal people are given notice, first of all, that it's a tentative date on the 15th and it could go to June or longer. And that they need to check in with the campground director prior to coming, and they will be given notice of the opening prior to coming.
All right, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Katie, I'll have you go ahead, Chris. Yes.
You're muted, Chris.
Sorry. Could we change that to the 22nd? Because that would be the Labor Day or Memorial Day weekend, because 15th isn't going to make fishing season. So I guess I'm not sure why the 15th is such an important date. If we're missing opening fishing, then why don't we just push it another week till Memorial Day weekend, which would be the 22nd?
Well, I guess Doug would have to change his motion. And the second would have to be changed. Go ahead, Doug.
I would be willing to amend my motion to is that a Friday? I would like it to be open on that Friday. Then if it's the 21st or whatever it is, I think people would be coming in on that Friday. I would be fine with that, amending my motion if Walt was okay with seconding that.
Is that what it is? Does anybody have a calendar?
Yes, it's the Friday.
That'd be 21st then?
22nd.
22nd. Okay, so Doug, are you amending your motion?
Yes, to whatever that Friday is. If it's the 22nd, I would amend it to the 22nd.
Okay. Walter, your second, can you change your second? I think you're muted.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Katie, do the roll call.
Doug,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Whoops, sorry. Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Walt,
Aye.
Yes, aye. So that's a motion carried. I guess before we move on, the last thing would be the agreement on the back to work. I think we're all in agreement then with the street department back to work, as long as you can hold the social distancing. I know there's times when you guys have to work close because of the nature of the work. So that's where you depend on, if anyone does not feel well, they don't come in. And that would be the same with Joe and his two workers coming in. I don't think we have anyone else in any other. One other thing then, it would be the arena, because there's no public is allowed in it. I guess those workers could come back too, as long as they do social distancing. That's something, Katie, you would have to talk to Guile about. Everybody agreeing on that? I think give a thumbs up if you agree.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Greg. All right, I think we're done with that part of it. The next is department reports. The police. I don't know if Mike is on yet. If not, Kate, you'll have to do it.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
You're gonna have to drop off because you got a terrible echo.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
We can hear
We'll
you.
give this a shot here. All right. So for the police department, you'll find the police report. It's got the call for services from March 1st to March 31st. We had 144 calls for service. In addition to that, we had an hour at the MSOP and 1 hour for ECRC. As far as the departments, you guys have probably been brought up on it, but update on the COVID with the police department is that we've implemented a operation policy for responding to calls, as well as for making sure that the squad's getting disinfected. We've put masks, gloves, sanitizer, spray sanitizer, paper towels, and everything that they need to protect themselves, as well as disinfect the squad or put onto anybody that might get transported or put in the car for whatever reason. Any calls that are being taken are still being done over the phone if possible, just making the outcome that way. If it is required to go in person, they're advised to maintain that 6-foot social distance as long as it's able to be done. Some situations they can't, obviously, but we have the front lobby is still shut down. It's just essential employees only that are coming in the building. No fingerprints are being done still at this time. We have done a couple gun permits. We just been putting the permits outside and they're picking them up and then dropping them off and leaving them for us. And then we pick them up and process them from there. We haven't been doing obviously any of the drug exchange. The businesses in town, they've all been very compliant. The community overall seems to be doing what they can to support them, the ones that can be open with our restaurants and stuff like that. I know myself and a few other people, we've been, instead of bringing lunches in, we're trying to buy from all the other businesses in town and give them some support right now. And, you know, hope the rest of the public is doing so as well. Other than that, it's pretty much same day as usual. We're fully staffed and we're ready to respond to anything that comes our way and that we're asked to do. So
Very good. Thank you, Mike.
proud of our community, though. The community is definitely coming together like every other time we've ever had any kind of an emergency situation. You know, our town really comes together and you can see them doing it again now. It's good to see.
Thank you very much, Mike. Anybody have any questions for Mike? Very nice. Thank you. Pass that thank you on to the staff. Thank you, Mike.
I will. Thank you.
Public Works Superintendent report.
Go ahead, Walt.
I'm losing power on my laptop and I do not know why. I got it plugged in. So if you lose me, I'll call in on my phone.
All right, thank you.
Can I just jump in quick? Does anybody have anything else for me? Otherwise, I had another meeting I needed to get to by 5 if I could.
No, thank you, Mike. Go ahead, drop off.
Okay. Stay safe, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Phil.
Okay, so the water department, last month, we distributed 4 million gallons of drinking water. We currently still have 2 services that are running water to prevent freezing. We should see an end to that in the next couple of weeks. Hydrant flushing is scheduled for the 4th of May. Sewer department collection system collected 15.8 million gallons of wastewater. Treatment system is just coming out of winterization here. We are starting our spring discharge here possibly next week. We did pre-samples today. Things are just kind of in that lull stage right now before things really pick up. Sewer cleaning program is in place. We got off to a really good start before the guys got sent home here 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. We were able to get 7,500 feet done then. We do have an additional, I think, 14,000 feet yet to go, which obviously now we are going to be starting back in on a Monday. Street department, just pothole filling is going to be starting Monday. And then also street sweeping should be starting, I believe, the week of the 20th. That should take about a week to complete, and then that'll be done. And other than that, I'll be probably almost just about back to full staff then, with as long as everyone's maintaining social distancing and they can perform their duties as assigned in a safe manner. We're going to be probably back up and running them by Monday. So I think that's all I have. Any questions for me?
No, thank you very much. Katie, engineer report.
You're skipping technology.
I am. Sorry about that. Technology.
The library had their annual report that was due on, I think, the 31st, and I believe she submitted it without getting board approval from library board. I believe she tried to get it out as much as possible, but I think the state was being a little bit lenient with the signatures at this time. Technology, I don't really have anything exciting for technology aside from just kind of maintaining. We had the liquor store computer come back, the police department computer that kind of took a dive. They tried to wipe as many files off of that as they could so that they could continue to use those. I think that's it for technology.
I have just one question, Katie, and maybe Rory can answer that. Do we have any update on the update, the whole update of our TV thing? Like, is he talking a month yet, or June or July?
Hold on, he's wheeling out here.
They are scheduled to do some installation of equipment. Hang on, I'm getting a bad echo here. AVI is tentatively scheduled for the first week in May. Just kind of depending where things go. We're in contact with MediaCom, and actually Bill Carlson has been helping with what was in that original agreement with MediaCom, because we do need AVI sent, I think, a IP address, or three IP addresses, or one IP address with some kind of a splitter thing on it, which I'm not understanding exactly what that is, but I'm having Bill help with that, seeing that he was all part of that original agreement with MediaCom, but it looks like MediaCom would hopefully be the provider of the internet for the system and for the streaming part of it.
Okay. So that'll be May 1st you're looking at?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, that would be the 1 week, depending if they get equipment. They didn't know yet, with on their end, but we tentatively put it for that, and then we'll reschedule as needed.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
I did mention to them that we don't want to be down on our system, so what they may do is get equipment kind of all set up and not in a sense throw the switch until we're into a little bit more stable environment.
Very good. Good idea. Thanks. Anyone have any questions on technology? Hearing none, we'll move on to the city engineer report. Katie?
We did a couple bid openings for the sewer lining project, as well as the well, installation of the actual well. So that took up the majority of our meeting. We also kind of went over some details of the well house, which everything is in the meeting minutes. The next step, as far as I understand, is that I have to complete a rate study based off of estimates that the engineers have right now. So I'll be working on that this coming month. And then later on, we've got some bids that we have to approve for the sewer lining project, as well as the wells. And
maybe mention about that trail grant?
Yep, I think I have that down further, but we submitted a trail grant application for, well, there's a couple grants that we've recently applied for. One is for, there's a map in your packet of, I believe it's the Sioux Line Trail. It's a part of the trail that's really busted up pavement-wise. So one of the grants for that, and then another grant would be to help us bridge the gap for the Trunk Highway 73 trail extension that we have a lot of money so far. I can't remember how much it is off the top of my head. I want to say it's at least $300,000, maybe $350,000. So we'll see what happens there. But those were all approved. One of the resolutions, I think, is later on. So those will get sent in very soon.
All right. Any questions by anyone? We don't need any approval. Oh, Doug, go ahead, Doug.
Bill, I see that, just wanted to comment on the SEH. The sewer lining, you have $135,000. It came in $10,000. I think it should be noted $10,000 under what the engineers estimated. They were at 145. Is that correct?
So the base bid is what the main part of the sewer lining project is, and then the add alternates were two alternate projects that we were just seeing how much it would cost. Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm just saying that I believe the engineer's estimate for the base bid of the sewer lining was $145,000 as I understood it. Maybe I'm incorrect. And it looks like they came in under budget on the bid, $10,000 under budget. Is that correct or is that not correct?
I guess I guess I was under the impression that okay, so these add alternates. So see how these
So the add alternates, I believe, were two different projects. One was to do an additional section of pipe if the bids came in cheaper. The other one was to line the manholes in the section of pipe we are already lining, which that I would highly recommend we do.
And that's what they're recommending also, to line those because they're old. They're not a solid piece of cement either, are they? They're brick.
Correct.
So they leak terribly.
However, I don't think that totally answers Doug's question though, correct, Doug?
I was just wondering if we came in under budget of the main engineer bid. That's what at least at first glance it appeared to me. And then I had a second comment on that wells 3 and 4. We have a low bid of 180,000, but I do not see where the engineer's bid was or estimate was on that, or did we have that information?
So I think I understand your question after listening to Phil. Yes, I think it did come in under budget as the whole entire project. I don't know what the bids were or the estimates were for the alternate 1 and alternate 2 off the top of my head, but I know that we gave them $100,000 for the base bid. I think the add alternate 1 and 2 were additional projects as we kind of got going. We thought like, oh, that would be nice just to know how much that would cost. So yes, they did come in a little bit under budget for the base bid at least. And I'm trying to find an answer to your second question. But
Katie, you can write that down and research that and get back to us on the email on that. That's no problem.
So just so you guys are aware, on page 61, there is a letter from SEH, and we'll be talking about it later on. But the bid came in at $180,000, and at the bottom of that little graph, there's an engineer's estimate of $170,000. So it's about $10,000 over budget, over what they estimated.
Walt, you had a question?
You're muted.
You're muted, Walt.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up that information on that sheet that Katie just brought up, so she answered it. But on the sewer lining project, it looks like the Granite Inliner Company bid 96,000, and the engineer's estimate was $108,000 from the way that I understand it.
Yes, that's correct. And that allows, what that allows is, I'm hoping that Phil can get some of those things in that came up, you know, like those manholes, because it's great to do the lining on all the pipe, but then if you have manholes that leak like crazy, we're fixing part of the problem and leaving a big portion of it. So I'm hoping that with these under bids like that, we can make a dent in some of the stuff that needs to be done also.
And I do have Mark Wallace, the main engineer for the Wells project, emailed me later this afternoon about the drawings for the well house itself, and I just didn't get a chance to forward them out to you guys before the meeting. So I will send pictures. He added color to them so it looks a little bit more lifelike. The color is not set in stone. I just gave him a general color to go off of. So.
Okay. Chris, did you have a question?
Nope, I'm just taking it all in.
Okay. I thought you had raised your hand.
I'm following along here.
Okay, thank you. If anybody else has any questions on the engineering report, there's a lot in here. So as you go through, do you have a question, just call in and ask. And Katie may not have it off the top of the head, but she can do a little research and get that back to you. I've gone through this myself and sat on with the engineers, and there's so much that I wouldn't be able to answer it either. I would have to research and ask them and get back to you also. Maybe Phil has it all on the top of his head, but there's a lot going on. Just one other question for me, Katie, was the garage up by the school, the old school, is that all gone now, totally removed?
Maybe Phil can answer that. I went by on, I believe it was Thursday, and it was, I would say, like half gone. So it's.
The only thing, go ahead. Sorry, Doug.
Go ahead, Doug.
No, I just took a walk by there yesterday. Everything that was left there was just the foundation that I saw. Otherwise, all the wood structure is gone. So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay, thanks. That answers it. And I believe the foundation is going to be removed by the company. That was part of the bid. So it sounds building's gone. Other than that, chamber, I don't think anybody's on the chamber. I was on their telecon. They're waiting to hear from us about a lot of issues because a lot of their events are dependent on city property. So they're like the Art in the Park and AGA Days and the triathlon. And triathlon has been canceled. And they're looking at doing one of those virtual ones where everybody does their own and submits their times. But they have not canceled AGA Days yet. That's in July. But in order to be organized for it, it takes quite a few meetings and time. So they're kind of waiting on us to see if we're able to open the building up. But as we have to wait at least until May 4th now before we know if we can open anything up. I think social distancing and stuff will be in effect for quite a while. So I don't know. And we have a problem with the 4th of July also. That's with the parade and the fireworks. They don't know if they should continue organizing a parade. I mean, the floats and stuff can be distanced, but you got a couple thousand people lining the streets, and if you know, you can't. How do you do social distancing there when you have a couple thousand people for a parade? So we have. I don't know how we can tell them or make a decision now.
I think they also were waiting on a response from the Gem and Mineral Club. They were meeting in a week or so. So I think we'll have some more information if we just kind of hang on for a few weeks here.
Yeah. So I think I guess what I'd like to ask from the council is to give Katie and I the authority to say no to them if things change. Otherwise, we'll have to schedule a special meeting to talk about it. I don't know any other way we can do it. We can't give them an answer now. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I mean, it's every county, state, city is going to be having these same problems. And I mean, they know as much information as we do by what the governor says, and that's what we got to follow. So, I mean, we can't say yes and the governor's saying no and vice versa. So, I mean, yeah, I agree. You guys will just have to follow and we'll have to make these decisions as the governor comes out with more information. It's everybody's the same spot.
Absolutely. Yep. We're not going to know I don't think anyone's going to know for a good month. So they're going to have to make a decision to either close it on their own. If they don't want to wait for us, then they're just going to have to cancel the events. We can still I want to still schedule the 4th of July fireworks at minimum, but they may even be canceled if we have the money budgeted to buy the products. And if we can't do it, then they're just stored for next year. That's all we'll do. We'll know it more as time goes on. Other than that, that was pretty much it from the chamber, other than they're going to try to do everything virtual as they possibly can. Unless you got anything else, Katie. I know you were listening in. Okay. Moving on then to number 6, previously discussed business. 6A is a Legacy of Excellence donation request. Katie?
Nobody called me out for jumping from 4 to 6 again, so thanks. I didn't fix that from last. The Legacy of Excellence donation, Kendra Metz had spoke at our last council meeting, and I think Chris said we're gone. But her letter kind of lines what their plans are to do with the money. Should we decide to donate? I think their main focus was the park or the playgrounds that got missed with the new school construction, as well as they want to start like a scholarship program for some of their students. And I think back to when we had an entire council voting on it.
Could you tell me what they're asking again for the donation?
She said $5,000, and I told her that probably wouldn't happen, but she said they'd take whatever.
Okay. No, and we've never given anything close to that amount. We've donated up to, what are we at, 900 with the chamber for all their events of the year, or is it 1,000?
No, it's like, I think it's 800 for the chamber, but I will say that we donate $300 a year to post prom, to the Moose Lake post prom. So just as a guideline. I don't know of any other place that we really donate to other than the chamber and Moose Lake Post Prom.
What, how much do we have in the fund right now?
I think we have like 22 or 2,300. I mean, we've got a pretty substantial amount.
About 2,300, okay. Then I'll open up for discussion by the council. Raise your hand if you want to speak. Anyone? Yes, Doug.
If you'd entertain a motion, I guess I would just like to start the ball rolling because my I guess belief on this is that it is new. I would think that if we gave $400 or something of that nature, it would suffice, but it's just an opinion. I think the whole purpose of having this fund is for people that come in that we can support the community. I think we're already giving money to dollars to scholars as well. So I guess that's what I would be okay with. It's just a discussion point.
Very good. Anyone else? Anybody? Yes. Yes, Walt. Walt, go ahead.
I would go ahead and support this, but it's just a question of how much the cost amount, the money amount. I guess I don't have a problem with Doug's suggestion of $400.
Are you making a motion?
Am I?
Yes.
I can make a motion that we give them $400.
Okay. Do I have a second? Yes, sir.
Second
Doug,
it.
Doug seconded it.
I'll second it.
All right. Do we have any other discussion or questions? Hearing none. Katie, you want to do a roll call?
Sure. Councilor Lauer,
Yes, aye.
Councilor Gutman,
Aye.
Councilor Huso,
Aye.
Councilor Sarvala,
Aye.
and Mayor Shaw.
Aye. The motion carried. Moving on to the next item, 6B is the 2020 Local Board of Appeals and Equalization meeting. Katie?
With all of this COVID fun that's been going on, Kyle Holmes asked if, since we don't have the authority to make any decisions at this meeting anyways, if we could cancel the physical meeting with the understanding that if anybody has any problems, that they can call the assessor's office and speak directly with them. And I told him that I would talk to you guys about it. Otherwise, the meeting is still scheduled for April 23rd at 1 o'clock. This is the meeting where people can discuss their property valuation, just so everybody is clear.
I think that's probably a smart thing considering what the governor just did, extending it to May 4th. They can also attend a county meeting if the county even has one. They may not have one either. They may just have questions directly into their department. Do we need a motion or are we looking consensus? I suppose we need a motion on this. You have a motion to cancel our Board of Appeals and Equalization meeting and direct it to the county. Doug and Chris. Doug first.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Very good. Chris?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Katie will do the roll call.
Councilor Lauer,
Aye.
Councilor Huso,
Aye.
Councilor Gutman,
Aye.
Councilor Sarvala,
Aye.
Mayor Shaw.
Aye. Motion carried. Moving on to new business. This would be 7A, the 2020 MCFOA Clerks Institute rescheduled July 20th through July 24th, 2020. You want to explain that, Katie?
I am in year 3 of the Clerks Institute, and it normally is scheduled for sometime in May. It got rescheduled for July 20th through the 24th, so I will be gone physically from work that week, but I have my computer and everything. So I just wanted to let you guys know that it did get rescheduled, and that's in St. Cloud.
Very good. Any questions by anyone? Very good. Thank you, Katie. I think number 7B, we already have completed the campground season and parks. One thing, I did talk to the officers about the park, and what I've heard from them is we do not have anybody, gathering in big groups in the parks. In fact, the snow probably just melted in the big park, really. And the basketball court up here, there's a few people that play basketball once in a while, and a couple families will come and will play on the stuff. But if another family comes, they'll leave. So it looks like just one, they're doing it, they're kind of policing themselves. So I don't see that we have a problem right now. And I did talk to Mike, and what they're doing is if they do see a large gathering, they're going to break it up. So I don't see any need to make any decisions on that yet. So just kind of information for everyone. Moving on to 7C, the resolution 20.04.01 LCCMR grant application.
This is the grant application that I was talking about earlier. This is for, I believe he suggested 300. Okay, so it is, I can't remember. It's either $300,000 to $350,000. And he's going to include this with the entire grant application. So
this is hopefully to close the gap a little bit. I think the last engineering, as they got into the design work, I think the first estimate was 1.2. When they got into the real design work and looking at the wetlands, it came up more towards 1.3 million. And we're at 1,060,000, right, Katie, in dedicated grant?
I know that we are $323,000 short right now.
Okay, so this hopefully is to help close that gap for the city. So we don't need it. Do we need any action? Yeah, we do need to make a motion on this.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion on resolution number 20-04-01? Yes, Chris.
So moved.
Second. Walt, second.
Yep, I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Katie, do the roll call.
Councilor Lauer,
Aye. Aye.
Councilor Huso.
Aye.
Councilor Gutman,
Aye.
Councilor Sarvala,
Aye.
and Mayor Shaw.
Aye. Motion carried. Under new business number D, proposed mailbox policy. Katie?
I'm going to turn this one over to Phil.
Okay, Phil?
So, mailboxes are a pain for plowing snow. Obviously, everyone knows that. We've had issues, and it seems to be more and more issues. What we have is, what I believe is in the packet is a copy of Carleton County's mailbox policy. By no means am I saying that is the policy to use. However, I am saying we do need something in place. Because right now there is absolutely nothing in place for anything when the snowplow goes by and either knocks over someone's mailbox or whatever have you happens. I know in the last 9 years I've been here, one mailbox has physically been hit, and that was actually backed into by one of our contractors. We have never physically impacted the mailbox with the wing of the plow. It is typically the snow coming from the plow that impacts the box, which then damages the property of whoever. The one thing I would like to point out is that a mailbox is private property in a city right of way, which is kind of a big deal. Which, I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but it is when it comes down to the point of the city plow took out my mailbox. What are we going to do? Then it becomes something. So, I mean, if you guys want to look at this policy and pass this policy, that'd be great. That would be just fine, because anything that we would put together would look very, very similar to this. No, I'm looking for some direction, because every year we are battling this, and it never seems to go away, and there's no leg for us really to stand on. And I guess I'd like some clarity and a little bit of direction with that.
Okay, well, you brought it up at a good time. We've got a couple of months, hopefully, before the next big snow. Walter, I'll grab you in a second, Walt. I did read through this, but I think everyone should take some time and give some input on it between now and the next city council meeting. And that doesn't probably cover all the issues you have, but I just want to make sure everybody's well aware of everything that's in it. Go ahead, Walt.
Yeah, Phil, do you have like something in mind? Like, what are the major issues? Are they too close to the road or too low? Or what are the issues that you would like to see fixed?
So in that packet gives you a submittal for a very commonly used mailbox, and it's on a swinging post. And I know it's not the most decorative thing, and I know it's not the best looking thing in the front yard. However, it is made to swing away. So when the snow is impacting the mailbox or the post, it literally swings out of the way and returns back to its normal position all on its own. I know I live in the county, and when I built our new house here 2 years ago, I was told you either put that mailbox in, or it does not matter what happens, we will not replace that mailbox at all. Even if we run completely through it, they will not. So I think this, it seems to be, it's funny that we're talking about this, because I was actually coming up here from south of town, or southern part of town, and down by Kenwood area. And I noticed a mailbox today literally duct taped on a post. I mean, all that is it's waiting for the plow to come by, knock it down, and all of a sudden my phone rings. Hey, you got to come fix this because you messed it all up. Well, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I don't feel that should cut it. And I think we should have something in here that's a little more concrete, that pretty much spells everything out. So it's pretty simple. I know the policy that's in the packet. I really like that policy. It gives them the proper dimensions, gives them the proper heights off the road, the proper specs, where it should be put, so on and so forth. So then it also it also works out for the postal service too. It meets their specs for delivery and everything else.
I think everyone should understand also that if we have this policy, it doesn't force anyone to do it. But what it does is protects the city from having to repair theirs. They can have their old one out there, but if it gets damaged, it's their responsibility. And if this is passed, what we would have to do is make sure that it's posted and in the papers and everybody understands it. So, but there'll be some that won't, but we would have it on the books, I guess. So I'll leave that, open it up for discussion with that. Yes, Chris.
I guess as I was reading through it, yeah, it does spell it out. And I guess if this is what the county is going with, I don't know why we would want to change any language. It's a protection for us as well as for them. And as long as it it follows what the US Postal Service needs, I would say go with this same language.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, well,
I guess I concur with Chris here. I think we probably don't have a policy on this because I'm not quite sure when they started using mailboxes in town, but in the past, I don't know how long ago, 20 years ago, I don't think that there was hardly any mailboxes in town. So this is kind of like an issue that's coming up as we're putting up more and more mailboxes.
correct. Well, I guess it's up to the council. If anyone wants to make a motion, if you're comfortable with it. I read through it and I was comfortable. Go ahead, Doug.
I read through it too, and I agree with both counselors on their statements, and I commend Phil for bringing this up, because if we do not have something on the books, that one line that he stated right away was that it basically takes us off of the responsibility. And if the other counselors read it and understand it, and we have the recommendation that they're using this, I would make a motion, but I haven't heard Greg yet what he thinks, so I would wait.
You can make the motion.
Okay, do
Thank
we
you.
have a motion?
I'll make that motion to accept this as policy.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Katie, do the roll call.
Counselor Lauer,
Aye.
Huso, Counselor Huso,
Aye.
Counselor Gutman,
Aye.
Avila,
Aye.
and Mayor Shaw.
Aye. So motion carried. Katie, we do need to get this into the newspaper as a new ordinance and post it on the bulletin boards. And we should
Well,
put it,
it's just a policy.
say that again?
It's not an ordinance, it's just a policy.
Well, we should get information into the paper that they should go on our website to read the policy.
Yep.
Because I know we'll run into problems if we don't advertise it well.
Yep.
We could put it on, I'm sorry, we could put it on our panel also. Go ahead, Katie.
No, sorry, I can put a little blurb about it in the newspaper, and then I'll put the entire thing on the website. It's just a little large to print in the newspaper, so.
Absolutely. All right, thank you. Thanks, Phil. Moving on to 7E, Trail Connection Grant Submission. I think Katie talked on that already. You want to just go over it real quick again?
Yep. So we submitted an application at the end of March to repair the dotted line of this trail. It's pretty busted up. And it's actually the counties, but I believe that we took over ownership of it when we decided, I don't know how long ago, to pave half of it, and the paved portion of it is really bad right now. So that shows that and 150 that comes through Moose Lake has to be rerouted through town. So this is hopefully going to solve a lot of problems like that.
And I think that's on page, looks like page 55.
Yep.
Goes to the bypass trail. And we kind of had a washout. It started in 2016 when we had that second flood, and it just has worsened each year until it literally washed the pavement right away. And the big bike-a-thon, what is that called that comes through?
MS 150.
Yeah, the MS 150 cannot use the trail in that condition, so they'll have to route all the bikers through the industrial road to get to the bike trail behind Arts because of that piece of trail up there that's in such bad shape. And did we have an estimate from the engineers on the repair of that, Katie?
I thought they said like 150, 150,000.
So it's quite expensive for the repair. So hopefully we can get that grant to finish that up. You don't need any motion or anything, do you, Katie?
No.
All right. Any questions by anyone? All right. I gotta find my agenda, hang on. Moving on to 7F, the 2020 fee schedule.
I updated the 2020 fee schedule. The only change that I have are the highlighted portions, which are the peddler's permit as well as the farmer's market fee, and those were suggestions from the people that put on the farmer's market, Roxy and Bruce Schmidt. She had asked around to other local-ish markets, and that's the dollar amount that she found. And then she said that with that, typically what you guys have done in the past is mirrored the peddler's permit with the farmer's market fee, so that one person doesn't go get a peddler's permit because it's cheaper than the farmer's market fee. So I adjusted those a little bit just to account for the increase there. But that's, I just kind of figured everybody should look over our fee schedule and officially get it approved for 2020.
Now that'll affect the people selling at the arena also, the flea market, all the
Those people don't pay. Those people only pay a fee to rent the chairs and the tables.
I see. Okay. Any questions? Yes, Walt.
For the farmer's market fee at $100, is that annually?
Yeah, it's for the entire farmer's market season.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to accept those changes on the fees? Yes, Doug.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Katie, roll call.
Councillor Lauer,
Aye.
Councillor Husel,
Aye.
Councillor Gutman,
Aye.
Councillor Scarbola,
Aye.
and Mayor Shaw.
Aye. Motion carried. Give me a second here to hold a couple of stuff. Moving on to 7G, the sewer lining bid award.
In your packet, you have a letter prepared by Tyler with all of the bid amounts. They recommend granite inliner with the base bid for the pipe, and then also they recommended the alternate 2, which would be the manhole lining. And I don't know if Phil, maybe you can explain a little bit more in detail of what how many manholes maybe. And I mean, I know they're in really bad condition, so.
There are 3 of them.
Okay.
And we have $100,000 budgeted for this, so it's over budget by a little bit, but I believe it's important. I think we talked about it earlier. Yeah, while we're doing it, we might as well do it.
Well, yes, those are in terrible shape. They're the old manholes with brick, so the water just pours right in, correct?
Yes.
So it's another situation where that we should fix those manholes. Actually, with bids that came in, it gives us an opportunity to do it. Do we need motions on these tonight?
Yeah.
You want to state the first one, Katie, and the dollar amount so the council knows what they're bidding on?
Sure. It's the first one would be the base bid, which is $96,666. The second is the alternate bid 2, or alternate 2 bid. It was $10,137. And just so everybody understands, the engineers had estimated the base bid to be $108,060 for the base bid. So that's roughly a $12,000 savings. The ultimate 2 bid, they estimated at $10,700, so they were pretty close there.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept? Walt? Do we have?
We'll make the motion that we accept Granite Inliner's base bid and alternative 2 bid.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Greg seconds. All in favor, say aye. Katie, roll call.
Councilor Lauer,
Aye.
Aye.
Councilor Gutman,
Aye.
Councilor Sarvala,
Aye.
Mayor Shaw.
Aye. Motion carried.
And I will say with these bids, these contractors all know that there are certain time restrictions that they have. So I think we put a restriction in there to not allow them to do work around like agate days and the 4th of July and things like that. So we did include stipulations like that in there, so that work will not be done during our busier weekends.
All right, thank you. Moving on to 6H, Wells 3 and 4 Construction Bid Award. Katie?
And this one they recommended Trout. They came in at $180,180, and they estimated $170,000 for this project.
So any questions, comments from the council or a motion? Yes, Doug.
I'll make a motion that we accept the low bid. Trout Companies, $180,180.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Greg has a second. All in favor, say aye. Katie, roll call.
Councilor Lauer,
Aye.
Councilor Huso,
Aye.
Councilor Gutman,
Aye.
Councilor Sarvala,
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Moving on to 7I, 4th Street resurface. Maybe Phil can fill us in on the change there.
So yeah, this got added because the pipe work going from the new well site to hook into the distribution network was originally designed to go down 4th Street. And we were all under that same understanding, Ted and Katie and myself were. I did get a phone call from SEH late yesterday about moving the location of that water main to stay out of 4th Street, basically to eliminate any other utility conflicts we're gonna have, which is gonna be a lot in that intersection, including 2 new catch basins that we just installed in the last 2 years. So I'm in in big favor of moving that. It's going to be considerably cheaper and considerably faster. So at this point, I foresee 4th Street basically ending with a decent sized patch. When I say decent, I mean like maybe 20 by 20, not half of the road like they were originally looking at. So that's kind of what I have to update. And I apologize, Ted, I didn't talk to you about this sooner, but like I said, it was brought up to me yesterday. So.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing, we would just have a small area to repair, not the whole street, like.
Correct.
Okay, very good. So that is that an engineer change? Do we have to do a motion on it, or we're just information right now? Just information for us. Okay, so that does save us a little bit of money. Not sure how much, but any little bit helps. Very good.
With the 4th Street resurface, I'm sure it brings up a point of when a road project. I'm sure that's where everybody's brain is. So what I would like to do is get through our current audit. There are no significant changes in any of the funds that we've secured thus far, and I will give an update on where we're sitting with sales tax and the gas franchise and all that, but I want to wait until our audit is finished and I make all of our adjusting entries before I give that. So it might be a month or two before I get all that information back, but I did want to update you guys on that. So it is coming.
Very good, thank you. Moving on to number 8 under reports and correspondence. Katie, does Rory want to come out and speak on the communication Bill had sent?
I think the main thing is I've been in contact with Bill to, as we move forward with new equipment and looking kind of towards the future of what his vision is to providing Augustana and kind of the connection with the depot. We're kind of trying to wrap all that stuff into what our goals are to move forward, especially when we get this new system to be able to provide content. And I think his focus is to be able to tie the depot, some of the historical things that they can provide there to be able to kind of tie that in with what Augustana residents would be looking for, and just generally some of the seniors. So the main focus should be to try to create more content from the depot, into the community, which the new equipment is going to give us capability to be able to do that in a number of different ways. So we're kind of in contact with Bill to, I think he had some great visions there from the past workings with the city and things too. So I think that, along with the new equipment, is going to give us a lot of capability to be able to do a lot of those things.
Very good. Thanks, Rory. Kind of an update for the council. Some of the stuff Bill mentioned does go back quite a ways that were passed by past council, so I don't expect all the councilors to understand it. It's something that's been in the works for quite a while, and we're finally at the point where we can upgrade that equipment. And when we get that done, we'll see a lot more improvements and think a lot more flexibility. So just to keep everybody up to date and keep the information out to all of you. With that, any questions by anyone? Hearing none, moving on to number 9, the committee and board meeting minutes. We have the March 19th, 2020 Moose Lake Water and Light Commission emergency meeting. That's all we have right now for committee and board meetings. Number 10, announcements. The regular Moose Lake City Council meeting will Wednesday, May 13th, 4 p.m. And it'll be, I'm guessing, in the same format we're in right now. The Moose Lake Economic Development Authority, Wednesday, May 20th at 12 p.m. I'm guessing you guys are waiting to see how changes are. How many members would be meeting if you did?
I'm guessing we'll do it electronically.
All right. The Moose Lake Water and Light Commission, regular meeting Tuesday, April 21st, 3 p.m. That will also be electronic. Moose Lake Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board, Monday, May 11th, 11 a.m., Hillside Manor office. Do you know how that's going to go, Katie?
We did the last one. We did it early. We did it on Friday, and we did it this way. So.
Okay. The Moose Lake Area Fire District, Tuesday. Okay, looks like I got it crossed out. So that's canceled. Walter, maybe you give us an update?
We'll be having our meeting next Tuesday. We didn't have it yesterday. Just because the month started on a Wednesday. So we'll be having our meeting on Tuesday of next week.
Do you know how you're doing that? Oh, you mentioned that you're going to open up the doors so that you can get social distancing, the big doors.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it in the big garage part.
Gotcha. Moose Lake Park Board, that's been canceled, and I'm not sure if we'll have one next month either. That's the first Monday of each month. If we're in the same condition, that'll be canceled. The library board looks like that is canceled, and that'll be, I suppose, scheduled when things change. Any word on that, Katie, at all? They're just not gonna. All right. Well, that's all I have on the agenda. Anything from anyone? Anything, Katie, that you need action on? If we skip anything?
I guess I just want to double check. You guys want to continue to have weekly meetings? I'm fine with it if you are. I just need to know to be prepared for a meeting or not.
Why don't you go through the roll call just to see how everyone feels? So you need
Sure.
a week.
Lauer.
What was the question?
Oh, if we want to have the weekly meeting?
If we don't have to, I'm fine without having it, but if, maybe if we left it up, if there's an emergency, we can have it.
Okay, Councilor Huso?
I agree with Councilor Lauer. If there's something that comes up, we need to have one, call one. Otherwise, I don't think we need to.
Okay, Councilor Jutman?
I would leave them on the books for every Wednesday since they're already set up, and then we can cancel it if we don't have anything that we need to talk about.
Okay. Councilor Sarvala?
I'll follow Doug.
Okay, Mayor Shaw?
I think we have consensus. If we need it, it's scheduled there. If not, we'll just cancel.
Okay.
Very good. Other than that, I have nothing else. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Doug, do we have a second? Was that Greg?
Second, yes.
Okay. All in favor, give a thumbs up.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Yep, thank you.
Bye.